Hey, yo, what's good? It's your boy Joe Chea, and you are now tuned into Crush Everything, the podcast. I know you guys know me from Man Crush Mondays podcast, which was the podcast with me and my homies, and we started that from the ground up. Our last episode was around Eric Gardner, and things got a little heated, and emotions have been everywhere, and everyone is taking time to focus on their own mental health and their own personal growth. And I'm ready to get back started. So Man Crush Mondays is still a thing, but Crush Everything is my thing. And we're here to have deep dive conversations that are slightly lighthearted. And we're talking about any and everything related to the culture. So today is our first episode, and we're sharing the stage with
number one.
We're sharing the stage with none other than Mr. I Got a Message, none other than Mr. I Got a Story to Tell, none other than My Handwriting is My Own Typeface, Trademark Me, Mr. Ron Draper.
It's an AKA don't copy my shit either.
Ooh, talk that shit. Harlem's own. So, Mr. Draper.
Yeah, what's up?
Why don't you introduce yourself to the people that do not know who you are, and give them an idea of what your resume looks like.
I hate talking about this, but I get it. The one thing I'm super good at is bragging about myself, but probably the one thing I hate the most is probably bragging about myself.
Okay.
But artist,
That's
entrepreneur, philanthropist. Like I've done work for. I'm a corporate guy, right? So I've done work for personal collections. I've done work for hospitals, restaurants. We're talking multi-million-dollar corporations I've done work for. Mm-hmm. But probably where I find the most joy is doing work for New York City schools. Like my whole thing is I just want to do cool shit for black kids.
I love that. All right, so you threw a lot at me at one time, but we're gonna loop back into a couple things just because Ron is from Harlem. Ron's energy is big time. I know my worth, and he's also my next door neighbor, so I see a lot of shit before a lot of folks see things.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna let him get away with
Except
it.
people see it at all.
I'm not gonna let him get away with it.
Some things definitely just don't go seen at all.
You said you work with a lot of big corporations. Name your top two favorite collaborations with corporations in the past 3 years. Boom, specific as fuck.
Wells Fargo's been it for sure.
Wells
Fargo. Shout out to the team at Wells Fargo Foundation.
Okay.
Ms. Smith, you've been a gem. So they came and did work in Harlem 2017. Mm-hmm. And it was like kind of by chance that we had got linked. I remember as we were kind of doing a ribbon cutting for this mural I did at that school, I asked her, like, listen, I don't know who else you got working with you, but we throw my name in the hat. I want to be your guy. Like,
let me be your boots on the ground.
Like, I'm your, not boots on the ground. Like, anytime you want to do artwork in the city, I'm your guy.
Got you.
She said, I don't know if we're doing this anymore. We'll just see how this works. Because, of course, when you're working on shout out to Uncle Sam.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Hotline Bling
over there.
Yeah, look. Chill. Look at him. Look. The smile. Yeah.
You know what kind of message that is?
Mm-hmm. It's early. Did you make it on time?
I'm good.
Did you go home last night, bro? You came here from wherever you was at?
Of course I was.
Look. The camera on him. Now he know he can't run from life.
Pun intended.
Exactly. All right, so Wells Fargo.
Yeah, Wells Fargo definitely has been, they've been true to their name. They said, listen, we want you, and they've had me every year as long as the coronavirus didn't disturb it.
That's what's up.
But they've been a good team to work with. Let me do what I do and kind of get out my way and let me make my magic.
Okay.
Second company, it's tough. Damn, there's a lot. I don't want to feel like I'm
alienating anybody, but it's okay.
Two, probably Harlem Hospital.
Harlem Hospital, that's big. A lot of your favorite rappers, favorite drug dealers were born in Harlem Hospital.
Or shot and brought there.
There you go.
Or both.
Yeah, it's that's sacred land.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you do for Harlem Hospital?
Harlem Hospital's been kind of like a hub from artwork for years. Mm-hmm. So this is maybe 2013, 2014 maybe. I get word from my people at Harlem Haberdashery that Harlem House was looking for a few artists. And hearing like this, the woman who was the chief of staff making the decisions was kind of like an artist eater, so to speak. Like, listen, this ain't it, and getting people out of there.
She's breaking hearts and hurting feelings.
I remember sending this email like with my fingers crossed. It had been 5-something in the morning. This is when I was going to work at Crunch. So I knew it was really early in the morning. It's very shifty on that 3 train.
Wait, you used to work at Crunch?
Yeah, all day, years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I was working a 5 o'clock shift.
Okay.
Opening the gym.
My fault. Sorry to interrupt. Keep it going.
We get back to that. So I'm headed there. I remember going to Crunch. I remember having jury duty as well. So later that day, I remember keep on getting this call from this 212 number. I'm like, I don't know who the hell this is, but it kept on. Like, I'm in jury duty. I couldn't answer the phone. I come out of jury duty. It's this woman named Sylvia White who says, listen, I love your artwork. Like, can you meet with me? I'm like, oh, I live in Harlem. She's like, can you come today?
Oh, wow.
So we ended up meeting and having this huge conversation about what she wants to do with artwork in the hospital and how art affects multifaceted points, right? It affects the people in the hospital in terms of the staff, in terms of the people getting treated at the hospital, the admins, everybody kind of is in a better place to do the same kind of work because hospital work is absolutely exhausting.
Right.
And to know that your work, you have the potential to help guide conversations, you have the potential to help kind of bring different life into spaces was an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
Right.
So she told me, like, listen, you're kind of who I'm looking for. You're one of the artists I'm looking for in terms of just the work that you do and how your work comes across. And that was kind of it. And then I was doing so much work with them that I kind of volunteered to be her boots on the ground, saying, listen, I knew you guys are looking for other artists.
Right.
This very narrow space that you have for artwork that has to check a million boxes off because it still is a city institution. It still is a hospital first. That little narrow strip of space of earth that they had to work in was like a mile wide for me because my work fit right into it.
Right.
So it was real easy for me to kind of pull other artists into the fold. Like, my wife has a whole exhibit inside Harlem Hospital. You don't know that, though.
That's crazy. You didn't tell me that. That's messed up.
Yeah,
Well,
my whole wife.
I don't ever plan on having to go to Harlem Hospital to visit or to be treated, but I didn't know that. That's crazy.
But yeah, she has a whole makeup and beauty exhibit in the I think OBGYN clinic.
Hold on, wait, real quick. Is it okay if we tell the world who your wife is, or is that?
Oh, yeah, all day.
All right, so for those of you that are on the Instagrams or on the Vogue or in the Elle magazine or on Essence, his wife is none other than
Lakeisha Dale.
Lakeisha Dale, thank you, sorry. I don't know why I was going to say Lambert. She's a photographer, sorry. Lakeisha Dale, a.k.a. Miss Mella Skin Studio.
Oh, yeah.
Black esthetician and skincare
I see my skin
professional.
shining. This ain't no filter. This is just me.
No filter.
This is my wife's hands.
Hold
No
on,
filter.
we're gonna get the punch in right there, and you're just gonna see the melanin glistening. He's one of the first people to tell me, "Yo, make sure you wear sunscreen." I'm like, chill, bro.
Yes, I get yelled at every day. Like, yo, you wear sunscreen. I definitely have like all types of sunscreen. You got to, man.
I believe it.
Do tan and do get burned, bro.
I believe
Ain't
it.
no myth.
So, you said philanthropist. Also, while throwing in the fact that you work a lot with New York City schools, you're most well known for your love script, right?
I disagree with that. I saw that question.
So, what do you think you're most well known for?
I think my love script was kind of what I wanted to. That was like the repetition, right? I remember seeing
that's
this.
to come uptown.
I remember seeing this documentary years ago called "Exit from the Gift Shop," and the Shepard Fairey was talking about
Let me
repetition.
write that down.
You can see this? Come on. Exit from the gift shop. Exit
from
through
the
the
gift
gift shop, I think. Street art kind of boom, talking about brainwash. Shepard Fairey, aka Obey. Shepard Fairey said this one thing, like, yo, repetition is a thing, right? And repetition brings about perceived power, and perceived power eventually becomes real power.
Yeah.
So I figured, what can I repeat?
The art of manifestation.
Yeah, like, what can I repeat? I was like, yo, what's something? And that love thing was not. I didn't go into it thinking I want to create some love shit. That definitely wasn't it. Funny, this is 2016. I had just Harlem House put me onto all types of stuff. Even the way they mount their work has changed the trajectory of my work. I used to mount myself like a wire, like most artists.
Yeah.
But they had some brackets that they use. I'm like, wait, what
Yeah,
are
I've
these?
seen
How
the
did you
brackets. I
use
remember the
them?
first time I saw your brackets. I was like, what the fuck is this?
That's what the conversation I had with their carpenter. They said, oh yeah, this is for this. I said, wait, this opens up way new possibilities. Hold on.
Right.
So I thought I wanted to make text, but make everything something that is like one piece, right? So I was just searching words and figuring out words. Like, what word can I write in a script that remains one word that I like? And that word happened to be love.
Nice.
So it came from just like an experiment of I want to create something with these brackets, and what word works out well, has the right curves that I want, that still looks right and can be sustained as one single piece.
That makes
as
sense.
opposed to 4 single pieces.
So what if love isn't your what you're most well known for? What would you say it is?
I think my handwriting itself stands on its own now.
Yeah, I
used to see that so much, but then now my handwriting itself, like you see it, you know it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember the first time, like first or second time I sat down in the studio space and I was like, yo, where you get your font from? And he was like, that's my handwriting.
Yeah.
I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Like,
I didn't believe him. And he pulled out an iPad and wrote something. And
Microsoft
I was like,
Surface, shout out to that. We don't do Apple over here, but
wow. You know what? I can't even be mad. Plug that. Microsoft, if you got some computers or something, send them.
Microsoft holler at me, man.
Send them uptown.
They're making me a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie, Microsoft.
But he sat down and he wrote out a word. And it was just like how I would write my name.
My handwriting.
And it was just like, oh shit. All right, so yeah, I get that your handwriting would be, I think, more well known for you for than love. But what does love mean to you that you've continued to like run with it and push it? Because I have a couple of your love pens. You feel me?
Yeah.
I also own some of Ron Draper's art, graciously, thankfully, and one of the first pieces I was looking for, I was like, yo, can you make me a love piece but a little smaller? He's like, nigga, you sure you could afford a custom made piece?
I said that? I didn't say those words. I'm pretty sure. Nigga, can you afford?
He didn't say it that way.
I didn't say it that way.
No.
Yeah.
He was like, are you sure you're ready for this investment?
Yeah, it's an investment.
And I was like, oh.
Gotta let people know, like, even the people that are around that you care for, still like, nah, like, this ain't, even if it's not, even if I'm giving you a cut on it, like some people do. Listen, they ain't getting a cut, but some people do get it. But
right.
It's still a level of investment. Even if I hand you over a piece of artwork, which ain't gonna happen, but even if I do, the level of investment does not stop with the transaction, right?
Right.
The investment means, are you protecting it? How's it in your home? How are you making sure you're investing into making sure that it's sustained over years? It's like a car, bro. Only expense buying a car isn't you buying the car.
Right.
There's oil changes, there's tire roll changes,
There's maintenance
on the car. So that's the investment that you have to put in. So some people think, oh, even if you found artwork on the street and or if you were gifted artwork, there's still a level of investment that a lot of people are not ready for.
Yeah. I mean,
like, art is sustained, like, practice. It's an active thing. It's not, you buy the artwork and that's it.
Yeah. I could actively give you part credit for my growth as an artist, right? Because as a photographer for a very long time, I knew my work was art, but I didn't really look at it as if I ever had the potential to go into fine art work until January of 2019 when I was in Ghana, and I saw that there was a situation where the lifestyles that people lived in Ghana was completely different than what was portrayed on social media and documentaries. Whenever you see photos or videos from Africa, there are one or two polar opposites. Either you see the lavish houses and the big yachts and the crazy parties at Twist in Ghana, or you see young, malnourished kids with flies on their fucking heads. And you never really get a chance to see, like, indiscriminately the in-between in the day-to-day life. And that prompted me to go out and make photos. And I made these photos with the intent to just share them on social media. And after coming back in December of 2019, January 2020, I moved into the studio. Me and Ron had quite a few conversations, and
I wasn't even here yet.
Yeah. January 2020, I wasn't here.
Yeah.
I came in February. And I sat down and spoke with him, and I was like, yeah, I got these joints. I think I'm going to make a print sale. And he was like, all right, well, what quality paper you going to use?
I was probably tearing you a new one.
Yeah, I was like, fuck you mean what quality paper you use? And then he goes and he opens up his wood shop in the studio. I didn't even know he had a wood shop in there. He's like, look, this is my wood shop. Look at all the different types of paint I use. I can tell you the type of paint every single can is because I use this type of paint. He's like, I'll show you the type of wood I use and why I use that type of wood or why I use that type of surface. I'll show you the type of vinyl I use and why I use that type of vinyl. For your photos, what kind of paper are you going to use? Because the medium in which you put your art on, determines the value in some point. And I was just like, my art,
or just determines just what you can do with it, right?
Right.
Some paper is hyper resistant to like water. There's some paper that's really good prints, and you think, if you just want to keep it print, and if you're in a high moisture area, you want to use something like that helps repel that.
Right.
But if you're somebody which anyone should be like signing your artwork, it's going to repel that too.
Right.
So there's so many things you got to think about that people probably just don't think about.
And I'd like to thank you for helping me broaden my perspective, right? From just a photographer to a fine art photographer and an artist overall. But we're here to talk to you about using your art as a weapon.
Oh yeah,
because
sledgehammer, baby.
Yeah, because Ron is definitely amazing at making sure that his thoughts and his voice is amplified through the culture and through his artwork, right? So last year we actually had the pleasure of watching you put together a series of art where you were, I guess, expressing your frustration and anger in the lack of
setting fire to everything.
Yeah, and the lack of response and adequate response to the fucked up nature of what was going on with all these black folks being killed and no justice really coming from it. So talk to us about that collection, what was behind it. Explain it to the people if you can. Put it into words what you wanted the work to embody, and explain it to them. So if I decide to do a layover, if you're okay with that, they can understand what they're seeing versus what you did.
What is it? Unheard child will burn down the village just to feel its warmth, right?
Say it one more time.
I think the unheard child, probably chopping this up, but something along the same lines of the unheard child will burn down the village just to feel its warmth. It's one of those things where it's an extreme, right? It's not like we all come to the idea like we want to destroy these things in the name of injustice. That's a buildup. And after some time, we're doing things the quote unquote right way, right? We're peacefully protesting. We're having these
right way.
The quote unquote right way, right? We're having these conversations the way they should be. But if we're not getting anywhere there, if that's not working, what the hell do you expect? So I figured I'd much rather burn artwork than burn a goddamn cop car.
Burn artwork. Let's visualize that.
It's also not. Let me not say. I think what I said was kind of confusing, right? Or it could be misleading. In which saying that I burned wood or burn my surface of the artwork before I burned the cop car. Not saying I didn't want to burn a cop car,
right?
But my role.
But instead of burning a cop car,
not even instead of.
Okay.
Not even. I didn't see. That's why I want to. Not even instead of. I absolutely wanted to. Could have. But what does that do, right? I think understanding my role in the culture as a storyteller, knowing that I am far more important to the story of our people when it comes to me telling stories and making sure our stories are told the right way.
Right.
Because if we don't tell our stories, if we don't tell our own stories, if we wait 10 years, it should be Disneyfied like everything else. It would be a whole whitewash saga of white people with the black resistance. Like that definitely wasn't it.
It'll be West Harlem.
Yeah, it'll be this whitewash nonsense that people think the story was if we don't get to tell our own story. So all that anger had to come out there. So it was just the intersection of me being really angry and me really understanding my responsibility when it comes to telling the stories of people of color.
Okay.
So I was setting fire to surfaces and building around flame distressed surfaces.
Hold on, wait. So you were setting fires with like matches?
Come on, Joe.
Yeah, let's talk. No. Let's not be coy about it.
I have a full blown flamethrower.
What you got? A what?
A flamethrower, a propane tank.
Let me explain to y'all what I saw here.
Like I can set fire to a build. Like this isn't like a little. I'm not talking.
There we go.
A little
talk
flambe
that
torch.
shit. Yeah, go ahead.
So hold on. I started with that. I started with the little the chef's torch. I started with one of those. That's why I have one of those.
Yeah.
I didn't have that to light candles. I have that because I started with that. And
okay.
It wasn't burning fast enough. It take me a month to burn that.
Okay.
Then I was like, this ain't enough. I went to get the propane. Think about the
barbecue tank.
Nah,
it's a little bit bigger than that. Oh.
Think about the torch that's probably about this big. The tank's about this. A little bigger than the can. Yeah. Think like the propane.
The benzomatic joint that they sell at Home Depot.
Kind of, yeah. Think about that. Yeah. Think about like welders, like all of that.
Like a welder's torch.
Like
that's
the
exactly
welder's
what it is.
torch. I went to that. That wasn't enough. So then I got the cannon. But then that cannon required like a 30-pound propane tank. Mm-hmm. So I had to drive to Westchester to one of the few places that actually have that type of compressed gas. And I attached my flame. My flamethrower, the flame literally shoots like 5 feet out.
So
Full-blown flamethrower.
when he told me he was using a flamethrower,
Probably like, whatever.
I thought that he probably got his hands on the Elon Musk like Boring Company flamethrower, and he was gonna be out there doing that. What he has is essentially
Hand cannon.
the internal component of that, but dialed up.
Yeah.
So if you ever held the Boring Company's flamethrower, it's literally just a plastic shell on top of a standard like flamethrower or flame torch. He has the whole like,
Yeah.
like I walked into the
It's like 4 feet
alleyway.
with a cannon on that.
Yeah, I walked into the alleyway of our studio building to see. Like I didn't even see it. I heard it at first.
I didn't even think
I was
about
like, yo, what the fuck is that? I was like, yo, Ron, you hear that? I hear it from the side of my window. He goes, look down.
Oh, that's how that happened.
Yeah, I look down and it's like,
Because you're right here.
yeah, there's embers coming up to the sky, and Ron is down there with big welder's gloves on and the blowtorch, like, and I'm like, fam, what are you doing? And he goes, I want to set a cop car on fire.
But this I have to do.
And I said, like, what? And he goes, so the color of this wood has been painted in multiple coats, the same color of a New York City cop car in the 90s.
Yeah, full blown sampled. It's called El Capitan, right? Shout out to Bear Paint, man. Y'all gotta quit playing to send me some stuff. El Capitan is the sampled color from an image of a cop car from the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, like the old, I think Caprice.
Yeah.
The old Chevy Caprice.
Who's the man? With Dr. Dre and that Love, is that the name of the joint?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's the
Yeah.
man? Yeah, that cop
So
car.
think about the Caprice is sampled from there, and I got that color match.
Yeah, and it was like dead on.
And all the actual color of the piece was red, white, and blue, but the blue was that cop car blue. So you got the full New York City NYPD, you're gonna beat your ass vibe from the 1990s. I want to make sure that like that's what resonated, because it says ain't nothing, it ain't anything new.
Right.
This stuff I've been seeing my whole damn life.
Yeah.
This stuff I've been seeing my whole damn life.
Yeah, that's a big fact. So with using your art as a weapon, you're sharing emotions, you're sharing messages, you're making sure that folks that look like us, that feel the way you feel, know that it's not uncommon and know that they're not alone in those feelings. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. Depends, right? I always say my work is more like a brick, right?
Okay.
A brick can either be thrown through your window,
Or
hit you over the head with it, or you can build a home with it. So my art is kind of what I need it to be, and a lot of that depends on how I feel.
Right.
Sometimes my art's a lot more peaceful. Sometimes my artwork is a lot more like quit playing with us. But either way, it's still gonna feel the same.
Yeah. I mean, you feature a lot of black handwritten like statements about black joy, protect black joy, black love, black beauty. What prompted you to focus on these messages? Like, is that a form of protest, or is that a form of like resistance? Like, talk to me about the layers of it, right? Because I look at your art, and this is a wild comparison. I think Uncle Sam could like go with it, but I think when I see your art, I think of like roti. You ever had roti?
Like Trini roti?
Yeah.
The layers.
Like, it's a thin ass piece of bread, but when you rip into it, there's so many layers there. So what it looks like on the surface is never quite as deep as it goes. So that's why I think we should ask that
People
question.
see my work, but I think the aesthetics of it are one thing, right? It's cool to have cool aesthetics and things that people resonate with physically, emotionally, like on a first scene basis. But the deeper you look into my work, when you start to hear the stories, when you start to connect why certain colors were chosen, when you start to connect why certain themes make sense,
Right.
it definitely makes sense at a much, much, much deeper level. But for me, Black joy is an act of resistance, right?
Right.
I don't think people realize how much it takes. Let me not say that. I don't think people who aren't black don't understand how much it takes to still move through this world and still smile and still show up for work and still do things we have to do every single day
With grace.
and still on the other side still want to burn every oppressive fiber of this country down.
Right.
Like that is a talent that only black people have.
Yeah.
Like even I've seen people kind of throwing out the POC, people of color thing, which is cool.
But
there's a clear difference. The experience of people
Right.
of color is not the experience of black people.
let's talk about that.
There's going to be some intersections, of course. There's going to be some overlay, but it's not the same.
You know what? Let's not talk about that.
Nah, let's talk about it, Joe.
You sure?
All day.
Talk about
Look,
it.
Uncle Sam want to talk about it. That's why I said let's not talk about it because he get heated.
I'm gonna go there. I always go there, and it's not a bad thing. It's. I'm not going there to be offensive. It's like this is what the truth is.
Yeah. I think that in the history of oppressed people,
Okay.
we are by far one of the most, if not the most, marginally oppressed people, but have received and are given
Back for this.
the least amount of acknowledgement and, I guess, repayment for the oppression that we've undergone for like hundreds and hundreds of years, and then we're also looked at with the highest standard of being able to just like chin up, buck up, keep going.
That's what systemic oppression is all about, bro.
Okay.
Like that's what
Go deeper.
Right? It's not. So people think. I don't think I understand when people say systemic oppression. They don't understand how deeply layered that is. Even to places that we probably can't comprehend, because that's how deep it runs in the fabric of this country, fabric of the world, damn it, but especially this country, in which people of color have always been put at a disadvantage.
Always.
And that disadvantage leads to us being in predicaments that allow us to kind of still be at an even more of a disadvantage. So one thing I was talking about, I think I was talking to a good friend of mine about this. Either or my therapist, could be both, either or. And
Shout out to therapy.
I was talking about this one business I always support, always work with, even though they don't necessarily have the same bandwidth to handle the level of work I bring to them than another company, right?
Okay.
And what will happen is people say, well, it's business, man. It's nothing personal. You have to go somewhere that can deal with your level of production, right?
Right.
Cool. But people don't realize that if just me thinking, yo, it's business, I'm going to go to this white company that has been around for 40 years or generations of work, who can handle that type of work, is different than me going to the black person who has just started their company.
Right.
Who, they don't have that bandwidth now, but if we don't pour into our own people, will they ever have that bandwidth?
Bigger than that, they don't have the
They have the head start.
Right. They don't have the years of financial backing. They don't have the opportunity to make mistakes.
They didn't have the grandfather who
showed them,
house that he was able to get through to do like all types of incentives,
right?
In
Or
the 1970s.
even by displacement of black folks and just taking the land, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's multifold. And that we could speak to us, right? Because we have studios in the same building. Your studio is a personal space. My studio is a space that I make available for the community. And in my work,
So that's you making me sound like a jerk who's not a part of the community.
nah,
that's
you
crazy.
make
That's
art.
crazy.
That's crazy,
yo.
man. That's crazy.
He's like, yo,
It's
you use
crazy.
yours is personal. I use mine for the community. Like, damn, Joe.
Okay, so your space is where you create art for the community.
Yes, there you
so
go. Yeah, it's preface
your
with that,
space is
bro.
still a space that builds onto the community.
You definitely try to throw me out.
My space is just more like an after school center for niggas that shoot. Not quite that, but you get what I'm saying. But like we weren't, I think, raised or brought up with the opportunity to make as many mistakes as our less melanated counterparts, right? If you make a misstep in your art or in something that you put out or a message that you share with the world, and it's responsible for killing your business for 6 months or 8 months or a year,
Or period.
or period, you do not have someone that you can look at and go, I made a mistake. I need help. And they'll help you until people forget. Same thing here.
Nah, they have any OGs in the game. That's why I make sure I try to be everybody's OG.
Ooh, say it again?
So I had no OGs in the game. That's not like a knock. It just didn't have, like, what I do.
We're part of a generation where we're literally like cutting down the grass and making the path.
We're all doing so many different things that we didn't have the OGs. So our job now is to pay it forward. Not even pay it forward, like pay it. Well, yeah, pay it forward is like when someone gives it to you, give it to someone else.
Yeah.
We just have to move it forward.
Or at least just be like, I guess, positive in our thought paths and share the information.
Yeah,
Because if you don't
everybody
share the information, then the shit dies out with
Everybody
us.
got to share the information, man. Like people, that is probably the most annoying thing to me when people don't want to share information. But people often share information as if they always think that, like this, if you're not sharing information, chances are you're thinking that to share the information means whatever you're sharing is going to be a competitor and it's going to hurt you.
There's too much business for anybody to steal what's for you, fam.
Like, Joe, there's not a damn thing I have not told you, here you go.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Because I know, like we always say, I always say the fact that I can give you the recipe, bro, but you're not going to cook like me.
Right.
Do you think everyone the same recipe, all that food's going to taste the same?
Definitely not.
No. But people are so afraid. But I get it. It comes from a scarcity mindset, right? Like we haven't had much, so whatever I have to protect, right?
But what's the difference? That mindset is literally the definition of crap in a barrel.
Yeah. But see, here's the weird thing. So I'm not necessarily condoning it, but I understand why it's in place. Because if you haven't had the opportunity, you're gonna protect that one opportunity you have as much as you possibly can. I mean, doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing for yourself. You're probably doing the wrong thing for everybody as a whole.
Right.
But if everybody is not doing the thing for everybody, then the connection isn't going to be there.
It's a selfish mindset.
Yeah, the growth won't be there.
Yeah, it's a selfish mindset. And a lot of people suffer from that.
Selfish is all about context, right? It's okay to have a selfish mindset when you're the only one who pays attention to you. You're the only one who cares for you.
Right. No, of course.
But yeah, it's different when everyone's eating and you still being selfish. That's different.
Yeah, indeed.
But if, you got to feed your family, I get it. But my thing is, there's room for everybody here.
It's a village,
all right, so
man.
Let's do this, right?
There's room for everybody if everybody makes room for everybody.
That's a fact. So, 2018, me and one of my brothers from the Man Crush Mondays podcast, Carl had a studio that he was sharing. Pardon.
Shout out to
the AC is clearing out. My apologies about that. But Carl had a studio that he was a part of in the city, and I have always had interest in like just sharing what I know, because outside of my high school photography class in 2001, no one's ever really showed me the ropes. Everything I know with photography I had to learn on my own. Yeah. And now that I've taken the time and learned what I learned, I've always had an interest in sharing it with other people, because you never know how much your little bit of information can improve someone else's quality of life. So we'll use a young lady, her name is Nicolette. She goes by Modelesque Nick on Instagram. She has a secondary Instagram that's for photography, and it's called Becoming Modelesque. And she literally, I hit her and was like, yo, do you want to model for my workshop? Like, I'm not charging people big money, but if you want, I can pay you, or I can pay you in other ways. Just let me know what works out for you. I can pay you cash. I can pay you in photo shoots. I can pay you in different like incentives. Like, let me know. And she goes, well, how long would I have to model versus how long you would be giving the core bit of information? And I go, well, the core bit of information is literally going to be 75% of the day. Yeah. The other 25% is going to be like a lab where practical. You implement, practical, where you implement what you're being taught. And she goes, as long as I can come
for the learn
and be for the learning, I'll model for whatever you want. She came, she modeled, and it was her and another model. So she came to me and was like, yo, can me and the other girl not model at the same time? I would like to model first. And I was like, okay, what's the reason behind it? And she goes, because I want to try what you're teaching me during the session. Sense. And fam, she's now in the streets shooting, and she's now getting booked for jobs, and nothing feels better than that.
I think the bigger question is, how much does that take away from you, Joe?
It takes nothing from me.
It takes nothing.
Because the fact of the matter is, what's meant for me is going to be. Not to mention, we shoot two totally different styles of work and two totally different types of work.
It takes nothing from you. It doesn't. People, that's the tough part. We've been so conditioned to keep what we want or keep what we have like so tight that people won't give it away out of fear, that fear is completely justified. But when that fear is let go and we're all kind of making sure we're just all pumping each other's businesses or just giving information all we can, then we start to see a change. We start to see a shift. That shift has happened a lot.
Yeah.
Social media has created that shift of information exchange. That's why you see so many more people doing so many more things, because the information is out there. It's like we initially had the information superhighway, which they call the internet, but now this is like the information like exchange.
Yeah, it's the spaghetti junction of
It's all over the
right.
place of just information. So everybody's getting information and looking it up. Some people are having it out there active. Like, it's out there. That's why there's so much more development, but people are still holding tight to their resources. And like, for what?
I think it also falls into the fact that our generation is not as, I guess, not as well versed in how to properly support, right? Because support comes in multiple ways. I can support you by buying art from you.
Yeah.
I can support you by promoting your art. I can support you by having you on a podcast
There's no way to support.
and having a conversation with you. Now, in terms of you being an artist in the like literal sense, where you use paint, you use different mediums, and you make physical art, you can support me in just having conversations. I can support Sam and creating opportunities for me and Sam to work together, even though we're both photographers. You don't really hear situations where multiple photographers are working on the same project, but there's always opportunities for that. And I think that us as a generation have to continue to push the envelope on emphasizing that there's more ways to support somebody outside of giving them a shout out on Instagram or sending them bread.
Well, there's a way to
like,
support just by checking, like, yo, how you feeling today? You good?
boom.
Sometimes, like, a lot of times it's not even really about the art, it's about the person.
Yeah.
Like, are you checking in on people without like a favor attached to it? Like, am I saying, Joe, how are you? Waiting for you to reply and say, hey, Joe, I need this. Or am I just saying, Joe, how are you? I'm checking on you. How you feeling? Do you
Right.
need anything?
Right.
Like, that's like the underlying support that a lot of people don't realize probably like means the most. Check in on your people without a favor. Just check in and see how they are.
I mean, a good way to gauge that for yourself, if you're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, is when you have a down moment, nothing to do, no distractions. Sit back and just think about the interactions with the people that you consider friends or associates, or the people that you deal with most often, and ask yourself, what does your support cost? Or does your support cost? Right? If your support costs, if you're doing things with the expectation that people will do things for you, then your support costs too much, in my opinion. I do a lot of shit for free, for the love, because if I'm ever fucked up, I know people would do it for me. And I would just appreciate that kind of friendship and love on the day to day. What are your thoughts? I see your head. I see it's like,
You would hope people would do it for you.
I would hope, but like, that's all I really have. All you have really in this life, if you lose it all, is your faith, your discipline, and your willpower. That's it. And your balls. That's it.
I feel like that is such a nuanced conversation to be having, but it's one of those things where you just show love, and like, you just don't. I would even say I would never expect it back.
Yeah.
Hope is tied to expectation, right? You just do it without expectation. Like, listen, how are you? I'm not texting someone, how are you, for them to remember to text me back. Or
Yeah.
I'm not supporting somebody's artwork or supporting somebody's work because I think they should be supporting mine after.
Right.
Because it's never that clean, though.
Ever.
Like, damn, I don't want to say this, but fuck it.
Say it.
Say it.
There are certain times where, like, people are a fan of your work, right?
Right.
But you might not be directly a fan of what they do.
Oh,
It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that there's no room to support there, but sometimes the support is not going to be reciprocated in that particular direction.
Amazing.
Sometimes support doesn't get reciprocated, and that's okay. Sometimes, like, I can go and buy something from a store. It doesn't mean that I'm expecting them to send me coupons or
Right.
to hand me a glass of champagne in the store. It doesn't necessarily mean that either.
Right.
So support isn't always a two-way street. Many times it's not I don't think support needs to be a two-way
Right.
street.
It doesn't. It needs
Support
to be.
shouldn't be a two-way street.
Right.
Support is just a one-way street
With no outlet.
with no outlet, and that support just comes back to sometimes it doesn't. And you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And expectations will ruin a lot of relationships. Because you don't realize
1,000%.
some people really just don't have the bandwidth to deal with that. You might be getting somebody texting you once a week, or you text them every day, you text them once a week back. And that is as much as they can possibly do because their day is just so ram-packed.
Right. Or
But
they're
you're-
going through something that's
yeah,
like
but you're-
literally bogging them
But
down.
you're comparing what they're doing compared to like your expectation, what you do, but it's not the same, man. Like,
Right.
it's a much, much, much different space that different people are in. So you have to allow grace for different things.
Yo.
The support's absolutely one way street. I don't support because I think people supporting me back. I'm not gonna go to someone's event because they're gonna come to mine. If I don't want
Right.
to go to that shit, I'm not going.
Facts.
Like, I'm not gonna go because I'm gonna go because they be coming to mine. Nah, I'm not gonna go because you come to mine, or nor am I gonna go to entice you to come to mine.
Right.
If I don't want to go, I don't want to go.
If you fuck with me, fuck with me.
Like, my thing is,
And vice
I will
versa.
never beg for support.
Right.
My whole thing is, if you're not supporting me, that's not your fault. It's mine. It's not your fault.
Oh, speak on that. Why do you say that?
Yo, if I always say, man, if you had $80 left in your account, and your girl wants to go to Beyonce's show tomorrow, and that show costs $80, you're spending the $80.
Emma?
People spend the money for Beyonce.
Yeah.
Beyonce, like,
I might spend it because I know I can make it back.
no, you're spending because your wife wants to see Beyonce, and Beyonce just commands that. Beyonce commands that. If you're saying no, you're just being a cheapo, Joe. Certain people command that level of like, yo, it is what it is.
Hold on, wait. Now we got to go to the peanut gallery because I haven't even looked over at him, but I know he got something to say.
Nah, I ain't say nothing. I'm just I totally agree with
My
you.
whole thing is, let's say for instance, Joe puts out a print for $500, no one's buying it. Beyonce puts out concert seats, only $500 tickets, people are buying that.
That's a fact.
That's not because of the lack of, that's not because people don't appreciate Joe. It's not because people don't want to support Joe. It's just that Joe might not be giving people that reason to spend that money just yet.
You know what? I look at that a little bit differently, right? But that is true. But sometimes, and this is gonna sound really weird, but sometimes people don't just support their people, just period. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. This is gonna sound very random.
Yeah, but I still think at the end of the day, that's not the fault of the people. It's still my fault.
All right, so here's my example. So say this is like back in the days. I had MTA don't even come for me. I had a bunch of Metro cards, right?
Liddy.
Bunch of Metro cards.
Hold on, you got those Metro cards?
I still do.
Let's talk about it.
Chill. You asking too much questions. I had a bunch of Metro cards packaged up. They were like unlimited Metro cards for like a month, right?
What year was this?
This was.
You know he was about to say $30 for the monthly unlimited.
It was a little bit older. It was more. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but I was giving people the discount though. So if the Metro cards was like, let's just say $80 or something like that,
Right.
I was like, yo, give me 60. People would not give me the 60 and would go spend all the money with ATM.
That's
with
because
MTA.
That's because you didn't propose the value the right way.
You know what it is? I don't think that's it. It's just, it was cut and dry. It's like, look, bro, you're gonna spend 30% more with them. Some people were okay with spending that 30%.
If it was that cut and dry, then the advertising marketing industries wouldn't exist. Advertising and marketing are what create the nuance between companies that do the same shit.
Right, but I think from a personal standpoint, like, bro, it's you.
No, the math makes sense from a
Right.
business standpoint, which is my
That makes
mind is
sense.
always coming from.
Right.
People don't understand like what is your value proposition? What are people actually like buying into? So it's not like some people just miss the ball. People just don't understand. But at the same time, as somebody who wants to get somebody's business, people see. I think that's what people miss, Joe. People say, "Listen, I'm an artist. I'm an entrepreneur. I do this. You should support me."
Right.
You're a business person. Your job is to make people support you.
Right. Make people want to come
Make
uptown.
people want to come. Like,
I respect that.
one of my guys said a while ago, said they only fuck with you when you hot, so get hot.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Did you listen to Lloyd Banks' album yet?
I have not yet.
Yo, it is one of the tracks, like I would say one of the last 5 tracks, where he literally speaks on it.
I mean, who told me that? It might have been Romaine Barrett. Shout out to Harlem World.
Okay.
Like, he definitely threw out like, yo, people only fuck with you when you hot, so
Get hot.
hot.
That
And
makes
that's-
sense.
And here's what it is. That's from a business standpoint. For me, it's always like, what can I do to entice you to spend your money here? It's not about, yo, you're not spending your money with me. You should support black business. Nah, I'm going to give you something that you have no choice but to support.
Right.
And that happens from the marketing side. That happens from just sharing my story side. Sometimes people need to hear why I'm doing it. Sometimes people need to just understand why this is happening. Or
Right.
some people just might need to see what's happening. So many different ways or reasons why people just might not be supporting your business. It could just be they don't know. It could just be they don't see the value in it. It could be a million other things, but I never blame anybody. I never say, well, people aren't buying as
Yeah.
that's
If
my
they're
fault.
not, it's not because of some work that you're not putting in.
It's some work that you not putting in.
All right,
Always.
so
I always look inward.
I know you got a heart out. So
times I heard
it's
out?
close. It's close.
Yeah, if you got like 10 minutes, maybe.
All right, so
I got 10 minutes for you.
let's get these last bit of questions in that we have set up for you. Shout out to our executive producer, Miss Reve Ruff.
Yo.
What would you say the current state of black art is?
Depends on the black artist you talk to.
Let's talk about if you were tapped on by, let's say, Sotheby's, and they're curating a show of the most influential black artists, and they want to put you in a gallery with you, Knowledge Bennett. What's your man's name that does the Stardust joint?
That's Knowledge Bennett.
Is it Knowledge? Okay. Mm-hmm. Knowledge Bennett, Kiana Parks, Zeph Farnby.
I just name people I know, people I all love.
Yeah. I'm just going off the top of the head, and we say you guys as a core batch of artists. What do you think the overall arching message would be for that show?
We all talk about the black experience for sure.
Okay, so the current state of art is black art is rooted in the black experience. You would say?
Yes, it's rooted in the black. Yes, I would say that because it comes from two ways, right? It's rooted in the black experience, or people who aren't. So that comes in two ways. Mm-hmm. Black people who want to feel like my experience is seen and heard. Mm-hmm. But then people who aren't black who want a taste of it, but they don't want to get that close to it.
So the people getting off the bus going to Sylvia's.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's currently the black art sits in multiple spaces. It's how close you want to be to it without being in it. Mm-hmm. Like everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga.
Every nigga is a star.
Shout out to Paul Mooney on that though. Mm-hmm. Like everybody wants to be close to blackness. Mm-hmm. The black proximity. Mm-hmm. Creates this huge market that you see these pieces going from great artwork, but we're talking a lot of these people collecting this work aren't black,
right?
Because people just want a black experience, not too black, but probably just black enough, so they feel like they're well cultured, well rounded.
That's part of the reason why one of Basquiat's art pieces were like one of the most expensive pieces to ever sell at auction.
The most expensive piece at the auction.
I don't know if they topped it since, but. I think
it was 110, right? The 110 joint?
That Banksy joint didn't go higher than that? The one that they shredded?
Nah. Okay. I don't know. Not that I know of. I remember that one that shredded. I had the shredder built into the frame.
Yeah, that was wicked.
But people want to buy into the black experience, and it's then a competition between the black people who want to feel like the experience is validated and seen versus the people who just want to be adjacent to said experience for whatever reason they want to. So the state of black art isn't just one experience, bro. Like to say that it's so many different experiences depending on what part of the black art spectrum you sit, whether you're talking about auction houses, whether you're talking about galleries, whether you're talking about self-produced stuff, whether you're talking about group shows, whether you're talking about people just out here doing stuff in the streets. There's so many different levels of the black experience when it comes to artwork. So that's a whole conversation in itself. That's a multitude of conversations within itself because it's not all the same. None of us have the same experience.
Okay.
None of us have this. Hey, it's not a bad thing. It's just it's so different because there's so many different entry points, so many different ways to kind of come up, so to speak. But yeah, state of black art is just listen. People, I always say, if you're a black artist, man, people got money, get it.
That's the message.
Get it, bro.
People got money, get it. Okay, so
money, get it.
let me. This I think that segues into the last question perfectly. What is your advice for black people that want to get into investing into proper art for their homes?
Define proper. I saw that. It's kind of gray area, Joe. Proper is relative, bro. It's all about
official art.
What the hell is official art, Joe?
Original pieces. Original pieces.
Don't listen to this guy. Let me tell you. Proper is
there we go. Now look ahead.
I don't know why you guys listen to this guy.
Let's give this guy a type hand. Speak to the people.
Listen. Don't listen to Joe. There is no proper. I was on Instagram, and of course, when you like certain things, certain ads come up, and this one ad for this company came up. Won't even mention the name. Don't even remember the name. One of those ads that like you want artwork for your home for $175 or whatever it may be. So follow me here. It's one of those things. Their caption mentioned that art. You don't have to be an art collector to collect art. I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Good question.
So people think that this whole art collection scene is about collecting super expensive investment artwork. Well, artwork is an investment, yes, but there's art for everybody. The thing is, You just might not be coming in contact with the right person. So if you were somebody who's like, yo, I got $500,000 to spend on artwork, and you're looking for a particular type of artist, you might be looking in the wrong place. If you're somebody who wants to collect, you got $400 to spend on somebody, you got $100 to spend on somebody, does not mean that that's not a proper art collection. You need to find art that works for you. There's art that works for everybody.
Okay.
Think about it. These days, people are paying nice amounts for my artwork, right?
That was cute.
I like though. You see that?
I like the way he did that.
Right? He was about to say, he's like,
People are paying nice amounts. People are paying not nice.
I'm not even gonna put him on Front Street, but I got my little Movado watch in the bag just in case he pulled out the Rollie today.
Rolly's at home today.
Continue.
My my work definitely costs more than it used to, right? So it's not necessarily about the artist, because if that was the case, you could have caught me 5 years ago. My work was $150.
Right.
There are people who have my work for that much and who have refused to resell their work.
Right.
Because for them, it's like, listen, I caught this artist here, or like, long story short, man, do not get caught up in the conversations of you have to have an official art collection. There is no such thing as an official art collection. Whatever works for you will be what works for you.
Okay.
Do not feel bad about not being able to afford something expensive. Do not feel bad about wanting to spend more than what other people spend. Art is super subjective. There are millions of artists out there.
That's a fact.
Not everybody is going to be for everybody. And that goes for the cost of their work. That goes for the type of artist. Like, I'd be killing myself if I thought every person who wants to collect artwork needs to collect my artwork. That doesn't make any sense. I've turned down clients. Like, listen, my artwork might not be for you, but let me put you in contact with somebody that makes more sense.
Right.
Because what happens from the artist standpoint, have people come to me and say, oh, dude, I'm looking to do a portrait of, like, my child. I said, listen, this is cool. I love your idea.
That's not my shit.
This is not what I do.
Right.
But let me put you in contact with somebody who does that work.
Right.
So now what happens is my man who does that work, the people who does that work gets that handoff, right? But yet the people who came to me because they trust me with their art experience still trust me because I handed them off to somebody that will do them right.
Right.
And they might come back to me down the line. They might not come back to me. But either or, my job isn't to absorb every piece of every collector's like opportunity that comes to me.
Right. Or change your format of art to fit everybody. Right.
Like, this is, I might bend it up. This is where I might meet you. If I can't meet you there, then so be it. I'm going to hand you up to somebody that can meet you where you want them to meet you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure I hand you over to somebody that does the right work because you came to me. So I'm going to make sure like I'm being selective of who I'm bringing you to.
Okay. So real quick, I know we got to get you out of here. A couple months, 6 to 8 months ago, you started working on your study pieces. Yeah. And I remember the birth of it. I remember you going to get the paper. I remember you going to get the cabinet to store the paper, to store the artwork. And you was like, watch what I do with this shit. What was the motivating factor or the motivating force behind you going into making your study pieces, which have been a smash hit?
Really?
How many you got them sitting still? You got more left?
Got like one, maybe. No.
How many have you done?
I don't know, bro.
No, you got to give me a rough estimate. Nope.
I don't know.
He's done at least, from what I can count, he's done at least 10. He has only one left.
10.
Okay, I said at least 10. You get my point now.
I'm trying to think what's left. The one that's left literally might be an empty piece in the wall. I don't think there's anything on it. I just haven't finished it.
Exactly. So it's a smash hit.
Yeah, I think people think I'm some super let me not say this. I do really complex work, but it looks very simple. These study pieces are more so because I have so many ideas that I'd be damned if I die with them.
Okay.
I have to get these ideas out. If not, they're sitting in an email, they're sitting in a Google Drive. My thing is, how can I get them out in the meantime? Or just the study pieces are really meant for me to be able to understand how to manipulate the space of text. My text is my text. My handwriting will be my handwriting. The artwork comes into the messaging and also comes in how I'm formatting to fit in any given space. That's how my handwriting changes. That's why I can't make it a typeface, because my handwriting changes if I'm working on something this wide, if I'm working on something this wide. It's going to look different. So the way it's composed will always be shaped and bent and twisted differently. So what these paper pieces do is allow me to just have fun and just do them, get the ideas out without any real pressure. And just setting them on fire, I think is a cool aesthetic. It's really nothing more than, here's my idea. This is me trying this out, but I also want it to be an experience. I don't want it to just be, here's this idea. Like I want people to be able to own my ideas. I still want my work to be attainable, right? Like I try, cause I hate prints. I'm never doing prints again, ever.
I know we had that conversation.
Never doing prints again. Prints do not do my work any justice at all. I hate them. They do not feel right. It doesn't, like my work is all about the texture, so the prints remove the texture.
Right.
So my thing is, what can I do to still create that intentionality of the texture, create that intentionality of the messaging, but yet have something that almost serves as a blueprint to something bigger.
Right.
It may serve as a blueprint to something bigger. It may not serve as a blueprint to something bigger. Who knows? But I still want that option out there to make sure that idea that I have sitting in my brain is not just sitting in my brain and I die with it.
That's a beautiful.
I'd be pissed if I die with ideas in my brain, man. I'd be pissed. So I'm getting them out. Yeah, I haven't done one of those. I haven't done art. I haven't made art in months. I haven't had to. That's like the crazy thing.
What a beautiful life.
And people think I'm just out here. Like, if people have not seen me on social media, and I've been doing nothing. It's not because I'm sitting at lollygagging. I definitely am some days. But I've been just building out my whole other company, and luckily I have enough space to not have to.
Right.
So art is obviously still what I do. Like, but there's so many other ways that I affect the world. I want to make sure that those are put into place and are on autopilot before I jump back into it.
That makes sense.
I just have the luxury of not having to, which is an amazing thing to do. An amazing thing to have.
Sounds great. So I thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Once again, this is Crush Everything, the podcast where we have deep dive conversations that are slightly lighthearted on cultural topics. And we are sitting here with
How long did it take you to write that out, Joe?
It didn't take me very long at all.
That seems so. We have deep dive conversations that are also lighthearted. What else did you say?
Chill, bro. Like, bro. So again,
That was such a joke.
He's got a time crunch. So we're here with the artist Ron Draper. Tell them where they can find you on the internet, on Beyonce's internet.
You can find me on Instagram. You can find my Instagram. You might not find me there.
What's your Instagram?
Ronald Draper _art. So that's RONALD DRAPER _art. You might not see anything for another few months just because I'm tired of the internet these days. The internet is just a place of
I feel you on that.
Of foolery and internet is just dummy land, bro. It's a mix of
Facts.
It's a mix of people just trying to live their best life that's really not their life.
Right.
And people who are trying to live their best lives and trying to survive and feeling as if they have to do all of these things. They have to post every single day to survive. That's a real thing.
It's people fighting for relevancy in a world that in a space that doesn't really prove relevant.
Well, there's a relevancy, but then there's people whose like whole careers are like based on social media. Like I could throw my Instagram out the window tomorrow. Y'all never see me again and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll never see me again and I'm perfectly fine with that. But it's tough to see because I understand what it looks like to survive and I'm seeing people do that. And I wish it didn't have to be that way.
I get that.
I wish it didn't have to be that way. Like I said, people are just out here fronting. Some people out here fronting. There's people fronting just for the sake of fronting.
I've seen a lot of Dior sneakers from people that are getting that.
There are people.
It's a pandemic.
There are people fronting for the sake of staying relevant because they need to for their business. There are people who are like fighting tooth and nail to still secure whatever it is through the internet because that's where their biggest reach is.
Yeah.
Like this pandemic has absolutely like made it tough. Like, granted, I probably posted twice all year, maybe, if even. Just because it's stressful, bro. The internet is a very stressful place.
Agreed.
So I can find my Instagram, but you might not find me there first.
What's your website? Where can they go to support the Ronald to purchase Ronald Draper art, Ronald Draper pens, or sit down and try to get a consultation about an original piece of art?
No, RonaldDraperArt.com.
Boom. So my name is Joe Chea. This is Ronald Draper. Behind the cam and the board, we got Uncle Sam. And this has been Crush Everything, the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. You'll find us here at the next episode. One that's going to be Don't Ask Me, Ask Your Mama. Thanks for tuning in.
Wow. It's Don't Ask Me, Ask Your Mother.
Right.